Good afternoon. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to yet another knowledge platform session to support our NGOs and our civil society in Lebanon and the rest of the Middle East. We are getting started in just a moment. We want to give everyone a quick moment to dial in. But welcome to everyone who is with us. We are happy to have you. It's always fantastic to see so many familiar faces. So I know that some people are struggling with the internet because I am getting a couple of messages. So how about we just give everyone an extra minute and then we will begin. Thanks to everyone who was able to dial in immediately. We really appreciate your punctuality. Great. So some of us are starting to dial in. It's wonderful to have everyone. Welcome to another Zovighian Public Office Knowledge Platform webinar. These workshops are being curated and hosted given the needs of our CSOs and NGOs on the ground in Lebanon, especially those who are frontliners on important issues at the top of the agenda in the country: women's empowerment, community development, waste management, food security, and the list goes on. We are going to begin. And we have in store for you today the phase 2, part 2 of maximizing digital visibility to engage with donors and communities. Many of you were at part 1. And for those of you who were not, I want to make sure that we're just giving a short, quick intro. What do we mean by digital visibility and why are we here to maximize it? Digital visibility is about being searchable, having anybody more or less find you online. And when they find you online, they understand what your organization is, where your organization is working, what the important work is that your organization is engaging in and has delivered impact on. So your digital visibility is your presence online. And why is it important to maximize it? Because everything is now online. Even our communities are now online. We need to digitalize our existence today online and engage especially with our communities, because more and more communities are looking for, I need this, where do I go? I am moving to this area, who is there? Who can I trust? I have been in this, in our historic village for a very long time. Who are the service providers still left with the crises that have severely affected Lebanon? So our communities are asking questions, and we need to be able to answer these questions for them with just by empowering them to already have that information publicly, easily findable, available. But our donors and our partners also need to know where we are and what we are doing. And that's why we also have to maximize our digital visibility for them. Because funding is hard to find because partners and suppliers and trusted collaborators don't come easy. We need to make sure that we are out there, that we are giving ourselves the best possible chances of working with the people who share our values and having the easiest, most facilitated access to funding and to funding opportunities and to project opportunities in the country. And so people need to know that our organizations exist. And when we maximize our digital visibility for those stakeholders as well, we are supporting the longevity of our organizations, the financial security of our organizations. For those of us who attended a financial sustainability workshop that we hosted before we closed last year, this digital visibility is relevant for that as well. And so we are going into some technical details today. Part 1, you will soon be able to find online on our website if you weren't able to join. For those of us who were able to join, thanks for joining us again for Part 2. Part 1 was about how can we get search engines to recognize our websites and know where we are. And Part 2 is now about design. What do our websites look like? And how can we get users interested, engaged, give them a good experience, give them a good platform to navigate? And how can we test to make sure that we've got it right? So if we go to the slide just before, you have, I have the pleasure of having my colleague with me today. Once again, Meghry Topoushian is our senior creatives analyst at the Zovighian Public Office. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lynn Zovighian, and I'm the founder of the Zovighian Public Office. We are delighted to have you with us this afternoon. And Meghry, I know we have a lot of technical details. People will call it jargon, people will call it big words, and technical stuff creates anxiety, right? The same way screen time creates anxiety, right? And so, you know, I think the starting point, what is your advice for everyone who's dialed in today? How should they take in this content, and how can we manage everyone's anxiety and discomfort with a lot of these big technical words?
Yes, so hello everyone. So please do not be spooked. I will try to put them in simpler terms as much as possible, but in the end, the more you hear the terms, the technical terms, the more you will understand what your colleagues are trying to say. And whenever you search for a specific term, if you know the term, it's easier to find more information about it. So on the slides, we have the technical terms, and I'm going to put it into simple words and explain each one separately. So please do not be spooked. If you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A, and we will get to them as soon as we can. Okay?
Thanks for that, Meghry. And for those of us who want to hear this in Arabic, we have interpretation that is live and available for you. Just go to the bottom of your Zoom. You have the interpretation button. You have the choice to listen to this also in the Arabic language. This session will also be available on our website and on our YouTube channel. Just give us a few days to get that up. And so you will be able to come back to this, so that in case you forgot a term, in case you need to go back to an explanation that Meghry is giving us today, it's just a click away. So over to you, Meghry. Let's dive right into this. Design user experience. I'm already a bit worried. Walk us through this. This is definitely simpler than it sounds.
Okay. So SEO was all about keywords and searching and ranking your website. So ranking your website also is affected by the design. In design, we have two main, let's say, directions. We have the user experience and the user interface. So user experience, it's the experience that a user or whoever is on your website, what they feel when they use your website. So it's the usability, how easy it is to use, how easy it is to navigate. It's the experience. Also, how easily they can find something on your website. So this is the experience of what they feel or they understand when they're using your website. It's kind of like the overall overall impression, okay? And user interface is the actual interface that you see. So it's the website that you see. It's more, let's say, the type, the colors, the buttons, whatever you have on the website. So we will deep dive in each one separately. And I would also add in the end, we are going to talk about performance testing. So that's when you test what you did in the first three. So in SEO, user experience and user interface. So you have to test, did I do this right? Did I do this wrong? What can I do to make this better? Because if you don't have the performance testing, you will not know if you did right or wrong, because it's something intangible and you can't see, you have to check the backend. Okay? So whenever I say UX, it means user experience. And whenever I say UI, it's user interface. So these are like design terms. So basically, I explained to you user experience, it's UX. It's the impression of what a user has whenever they use your website, even whenever they use your product. Kind of, it's the same process. How you're using a pen, let's say, how you feel when you use the pen. Is it easy to use? Is it easy to understand or see? And so forth. Same goes for a system or a service. So this is for user experience. It also includes the emotions. So sometimes people use your website and they're really angry. They can't find this, or they're frustrated, or they're anxious. So that's part of the user experience. So I'm going to go to the deep dive into user experience. So don't worry, there are around 12 components to user experience. Okay, and we're going to go over them one by one. Please, if you have questions, drop them in the QA. And I'm going to try to explain them to you in very simpler terms. Again, these are not things you need to know about them. You need to like have a summary. You need to understand what they are. But in the end, implementation might not be with you. It could be with your design team or your developers or the company you work with to do it for you. But it's important to know these things, because then you know whenever they tell you this is not doable, then you understand why it's not doable. Or you start to think in ways to do things that are actually doable on your website. Okay. Okay, let's go deep into this. So it starts first with user research. It basically means that whatever it says, it's a research about the user. So when you let's say if you're the NGO and you're targeting, let's say, refugees, or you're targeting women around the age between, let's say, 30 to 40. So you have to research about these women. You have to understand, what do they do in their normal life? What do they understand? How would they, let's say, when is their leisure time? When do they have time to do a project or take a workshop? So you need to know these things so that you can reflect this on your website or your mobile application. So you need to, how can you research them? You interview them, you test for, you can send surveys, you can ask around, or you can actually observe people around you. So that's how you test your research about the user. This is one. Two, information architecture. So information architecture is the hierarchy of information. So we talked about this in SEO. It's important to, whenever you put information on the website, to make sure it's like put in a very hierarchic manner, okay? Such that whenever, let's say, they are searching for something specific, they can easily find. So you have to make sure, let's say at the end of the page, you said there's a press release, and then you said contact us for more information. And that's it. Then they have to go to contact us page to find your email. Instead, what you can do is actually put your email next to that sentence. So whenever they click on it, they can directly go and email it to you. So this is like less time and more, this like the information is there for them to use easily. So that's what also information architecture means.
So Meghry, I want to pause you for a quick second here. When we're thinking about point one, user research, and we're thinking about point two, information architecture.
Yeah.
In fact, the more we know our users, who are the people we want to have visit our website, the more we can imagine what would they want? How would they think? How would they look for information?
What are their goals?
Exactly. And therefore, how can I give them this information? How can I make it so convenient that they don't just look around? And you and I know the worst thing is when you go on a website, you can't find what you want. You're probably not going to fight with the website. You're just going to quit.
Yes.
So each one of these points you're going to see actually feeds into the other. I want to just make a quick comment on user research because this is so important. If you are, and for those of us who attended part one of our webinar series, you heard this, and we conducted a poll with you on this. If your users are actually only the community, that's it. It's only the community. That's all you care about. Maybe you don't have partners, you don't need partners, you don't have funders, you don't need funders. So if your community is Arabic speaking, doesn't have time because they're under a lot of pressure, time is not in their favor. They also don't have a lot of time to enjoy your websites and online in general because they have poor access to electricity and the internet. You know that your website needs to be short, sweet, specific, and in the Arabic language. So because you know who your users are, you are thinking about your target audience, everything else just becomes very clear. The design of everything, the decisions on everything become very clear. If I have a more complex audience, I have to think about my donors, my partners. I'm also looking for more donors, so prospective donors and funders. And I care a lot about the media. Well, then I'm going to need my website in Arabic because I have partners and journalists who are Arabic speakers. I might have a donor or two who are also Arabic speakers. But then I'm going to look, what's my donation base? If my donation base, let's say it comes from France, you are working with the Lebanese diaspora, you are working with French funding institutions, then I know my website needs to be also available in French. I have to cater to the audience that I have and that I need. And the list goes on. But I just wanted to give those two as very, very tangible examples. I hope I haven't broken down your thought process, Meghry. I'll let you pick up from where you left off.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. So going to interaction design. So interaction design is how the user interacts with your website. And so how the user interacts with your website. So where do they go on the page? Where are they looking on the page? So it should be pretty intuitive. This is very important because it's like intuition. Whenever you read, let's say, a sentence, a paragraph that says, submit your application, right? Normally, a person would look for a button that says submit. So you really need to have that there. Because if it's not there, it's not intuitive for a person, and they're gonna get like frustrated. They're not gonna find it, so they're not gonna do it. So interaction design is very important, and you should also think about. We're gonna talk more about this accessibility. So accessibility is when there are people with disabilities. So you have to think as well how to design a page to make it more accessible friendly. I'm going to talk about this in number 6. So, but it is part of interaction design as well. And then we go to usability testing. So this is kind of the first level of testing. It actually, it is what it means, testing the user. Okay, so whenever you come up with a design, you just ask for a user. There are ways to do this, but the simplest form is just put someone in front of the laptop, tell them, please go ahead and use the website. And then you observe them. What are they doing? What are they searching for? How are they looking for this? Is it easy for them to go to that page? Or maybe I need to advertise this, let's say this specific program, I need to advertise it on my homepage because they're not easily going to that page. So if it's on the homepage, it's easier to use it. So this is when you test the user. And then this is also where you flag the issues. This is where you find the disadvantages and how to fix them. This is for usability testing. Then we have number 5 is content strategy. This is extra important. And this is where also it's interlinked with SEO. So content strategy is when you are actually planning and creating the content so that it resonates with the user. And then again, all those things we talked about and SEO, the keywords, you have to identify your keywords. You have to make sure you put them in the content. The content has to be high quality. It shouldn't be plagiarized. It should be consistent. It shouldn't be a lot of text to read. So this is part of the content strategy. And you have to make sure that it's clear and concise because like the bigger the text, the more you lose the audience. So this, yeah, it has to be very short and straight to the point. Again, it also depends on the type of audience you have. If you have, let's say, mothers who have like a 5-minute break when they're cooking, you're not gonna make them read 15 lines. So you have to say your thing in 1 line. Okay. So this is part of the content strategy, and it's based on the user research. The first thing we talked about. It really depends on your target audience. And then we go to accessibility. So currently, accessibility is it's very, very important. And now websites and companies and NGOs, they are paying more attention to this. It's about inclusivity. So it is designing for these people with disabilities. So here, because, okay, let me give you examples. And let's see, where are these? Okay. So there are a couple of ways to do this. Sometimes, just a second, let me share. Okay. Okay, so there are a couple of ways to do this. One of them is actually using, you embed a specific, there are a lot of websites that help you make your website accessible. One of them, let's say it's AudioEye, and it's compliant with, internationally compliant. And then you also have another one that's called Userway. You have a lot of them. So these are examples I'm going to show you now. So what happens is whenever you visit a specific website page, you're going to see a button here. This is the accessibility icon. So when you click on it, okay, you're going to have a couple of options. These are actually things that people with disabilities use. Let's say if I'm someone who, I have eye problems, okay, I want a different, let's say, a different contrast. So I know it doesn't look nice, but for the people with disabilities, this is very important for them so that they're able to they are able to read a specific text or see a specific image. And there are levels to them, okay? So you see, so this is light contrast. And then you have, let's say, highlight links. It highlights the links for you. So it's easier for them to find. And then you have, let's say, you want bigger text, you get bigger text. right? And then let's say if this is very confined for people with special needs, you can just, add spacing between letters. If there are specific animations that's really bothering them, if a lot of things are happening on the website, you can just pause animations. Or let's say you can hide images. Okay, and then people with dyslexia for the fonts. Okay, cursor size. Also, let's say if there's a lot of reading, you can actually do this. You can highlight what you're reading. There's another way to do this as well. You can just, follow. Okay. So there are more of these. Tooltips are, let's say, if you hover over a specific image and you have a specific text come up, if you have it on your website, line height, okay, text alignments, okay, saturation. So these tools help you design your website and make it more accessibility compliant. I'm going to give you another example for ODUI. It's basically the same. You have the icon, you click on it, and then again, you have additional tools like focus, cursor, they're the same. You have a color shift. You have, again, where was that? Guide. This is a different type of guide. So it really depends on what you want to include and show people. So this is basically for accessibility. Lynn, anything you'd like to add for 3, 4, 5, 6?
Meghry, I think you've got this, but what I will say is for those of us, many of our organizations really care about inclusivity, diversity, and being able to meet the needs of people. Even if you just have that as a very important matter of principle as an organization, and you are accounting for that in your projects, in the way you are engaging with funders, in the way you are putting an emphasis on caring for those and including those with special needs, in your recruitment strategies and in your project proposals. This is going the extra mile online. And it is a very beautiful cohesion of the values that you are practicing on the ground. You're getting the opportunity, thanks to innovation and easy innovation in a lot of these technological tools that are now available for many websites. You are bringing all those values you practice on the ground to your website, and there's a beautiful and important cohesion. So there's a beautiful alignment of values. I would say that I am always very impressed when I see a website that has gone this extra mile. It makes me realize how serious they are about engaging with anyone, regardless of whether it's someone on the ground or someone online. So the opportunity to get to think in this way, and then the opportunity to get to practice this is wonderful. And Meghry, actually, our website it's not been too long that we have this up. It's been about 1.5 years, right? That we have our accessibility on. And
Yes.
we have seen a difference. We know that there are people who couldn't access us before, and now they can, and that brings a lot of joy to all of us.
Yes. So quickly, I'm going to answer. Jessica is asking a question. I was going to add this at the end. So she's asking, for people who cannot use hands to navigate, are there any suggestions or HAPO websites to go through for learning? So again, there's this ability of, let's say, people who are totally blind or they cannot see. Usually, people who have these special needs, they have their own programs installed on their own laptops. So whenever they're going to visit a specific website, So they talk with the program, and let's say they ask the program, can you please read me www.zovighianpartnership.com website? So automatically that program goes into the website and it reads aloud. So that's where the design of your website comes in. So let's say if you have a title on your website and you've identified it as a title, the computer that's reading that for the user, okay, is going to highlight that this is a title. And then it's going to say, this is a subtitle. And then it's going to read the subtitle. Or then let's say it's going to say, this is a paragraph. It starts reading the paragraph. And then it says, there's a link here. Okay. So do you want to click on it? So the user says, yes, I want to click on it. So they interact by talking. So there is material I can share with you for you to be able to know more about this. But do you understand this part is something that the people with special needs would have? This is not something you can do. So the most you can do is make sure there's enough the hierarchy is very defined on your website. Other than that, it's just depending on the people who are using.
And to add to that, that is why for those of us who are NGOs working with special needs, having computer labs where these computers have these programs installed, because we might have a community member that doesn't have their own laptop or computer at home, but they do have, thanks to you, access to a computer lab and access to the program on that computer lab, on that computer. So for those of you who do have hardware at your premises and you do have special needs, participants and community members with whom you are engaging, these programs would also be useful for you, so that not only is your website catering to those needs, but also you are making it just so easy for them to come and be able to navigate, hopefully more than just your website with strong accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
Meghry will follow up with program options for those of us who are interested. Please drop your name on the chat, and we will follow up with an email. Dima and Rita, whom you all know, is going to be available to share that with you. So thanks for that great question, Jessica.
Okay, and I would also like to add the most important in accessibility are alt tags or alt texts. You've heard about it? So basically, alt texts are descriptions of images or videos. They are embedded inside at the back end in such a way that, let's say, if someone with special needs, let's say, cannot see, right? The program will read it for them. They will say, because if you don't put those alt texts, the program does not see the image. So they won't be able to see what's on that image. They won't be able to explain it. So whenever you put an alt text to a specific image, the program will go there and then it will read, okay, there's an image, there's a person on that, and they're talking in a webinar. And if there's anything specific, they can say there's a banner on the background, and so on and so forth. So basically, alt text, the correct way to write an alt text is basically you're explaining what's in the image to someone who is not able to see. That's the best way you can do it. And I would also like to highlight that you have alt text as well for all social media. Whenever you're just posting on Instagram, there's the description. And then when you go to the next level, there are spaces where you can fill the alt text. That's very, very important. And that's how you have more visibility with the people with special needs.
So Meghry, just stay on that slide for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to post on the chat an example of what an alt tag could read like for this image in front. So I'm going to also say it out loud. A slide showing 12 boxes, a box for every key component of user experience.
Yes.
And here we go. It's on the chat. That could be one way of showing that. What you could also have is an image of 3 rows and 4 columns per row, with each, or sorry, a table, excuse me, a table of 3 rows and 4 columns per row, with each box mentioning a component of user experience. So that would allow your reader to understand, okay, there is this visual in front of me, and now I can imagine it in my head. So now I am more engaged, I am more plugged into the content that is available. And of course, you would have all of them listed, not on the image, but on the text, the supporting text, and maybe even the alt tag as well.
Yeah.
So Meghry, tell us more. I know that we could spend so much time diving into special needs, inclusion, diversity. I love that we are investing the time in this. I also want to make sure that we are understanding the different pieces of this big puzzle and making our audience today feel very good about what all these elements are.
Okay, so moving on, just a quick thing. Sometimes you confuse, alt tags are not the same as keywords, and they are not included in SEO keywords. So you can't just stuff your keywords in alt tags. It doesn't work. Actually, Google penalizes you for that. So no, don't do that. So they're totally different. So one is for accessibility and one is for content and ranking. Okay. So moving on to mental models. Mental models are understanding how your user thinks and what are they going to do next. So it's like, what are they expecting that happens next? Let's say, I'm going to give you an example. Sometimes, let's say let's say I'm searching for a specific NGO that does, let's say, workshops or in craftsmanship. I know I keep using this example, it's just in my head. Okay, so what happens is whenever they go on a website, the first thing they're going to do how are they going to think? At the beginning, they're not going to care about the NGO. They're going to care about what you can do for them. So that's something they would expect to see on your homepage before they see what the company is about. So what you need to do on your homepage is make sure maybe you talk about your services first, and then you talk about your company. Okay. So again, it's about thinking how your user thinks. So let's say if you're checking if I'm a stakeholder, if I'm someone who has a foundation and I'm looking into funding specific projects, right? No, maybe I am more interested to know about the company first, and then I want to see the work you're doing. So it really depends on how your user thinks. So that's what mental models are. Okay. And then this is a bit linked to user flows. So, when you first think about the mental models, the second step is to do a user flow. A user flow it's something very you just sketch it out. You put a specific, let's say, you put a specific button, and then you put an arrow, and then you say it goes here. So you identify the user flows. Like you open your homepage, and then you say, when the person clicks here, they should go here. And then when they click here, they should go to this page. Or when they click here, they should go to YouTube video. So this is identifying your user flows. Okay. And when you identify this, it's easier for both the designer or let's say the developer to understand what's happening and thus make it easier to design the specific page. Okay, so this was for number 8. And then we go again into more technicalities with wireframing and prototyping. These are scary words. Wireframing means whenever you look at a sketch, I'm going to actually show you example directly. It's better. This is a wireframe of a website that has not been designed yet. Okay, so it's kind of identifying where and what things go. So usually images are represented. You can actually sketch this out. You don't have to draw this. It can be as basic as this. Okay, so an image is supposed to be an X, and then text doesn't even have to be a text. You can just put a line, just so you understand also the layout of the page, just so you can communicate and see how things will look. So you don't have to design the whole page to know what's the user flow or test the page. You don't have to design it. You do a wireframe, and then you also check with the developer if it's doable, it's not doable. And on that basis, you test, and then you do any iterations you want to do, and then you start designing. So this is basically wireframing and prototyping. So here this is the other example. It's really, sometimes it can be very basic. And then you put numbers here, and then you take notes here. You can do this on scratch paper. You can do this online. You can do this. There are online tools you can use, or you can just draw it on any program like Illustrator or so on. So this is for wireframing and prototyping. Okay. So now after that, we have visual design. So this is where you start designing. Visual design is the colors you use on your website, the identity that you implement, the identity that you have, the type of typography or the type of fonts you have chosen to use on your website, the type of imagery, if they are images, if it's animation-based, if it's, let's say, infographics-based. This is all part of the visual design. So this is when you design. Yes, you have to do all these before you get to design. Because this, from 4 to 8 or 9, is like 70% of the work. The rest get more easy when you designing, and the rest get more easy when you go ahead with all those steps. However, I want to add something. Sometimes you don't have the resources to do all this. But again, all of this have very easier way to do them. Just like the wireframing. You don't have to have a program to do a wireframe. You just need a piece of paper and a pen. User flows, mental models, accessibility, or others. I'm going to give you an example. Sometimes one day I was designing a website. I literally took my mom and my neighbor. They were having coffee, and I made them look at the website. And I was just watching them, observing them. Why are you clicking here? Why do you need to read this? You know, it's as simple as that. You just need to know who your user is, and then test it out. Sometimes I even ask Lynn, I tell you, okay, come here, you're my user. Please tell me, what do you see? What are you going to do now? So it's as simple as that. You don't need a lot of resources or a lot of team members to do this. Okay. So yeah, here we're done with visual design. Now you need the feedback. This is also where your users come in. So you let them use the website that you have designed, and then you start asking them questions like, do you like this? Do you not like this? What do you think makes it better? Do you think there's an issue? What's bothering you? Is there a specific, let's say, dot? Maybe there's a specific dot on the page and it's really grabbing a lot of attention, and they're not able to see a specific button at the bottom, let's say. They tell you these things. So you gather this feedback, and then you go to iteration. You update your design. Sometimes you're obliged to change the whole user flow. Sometimes you're obliged to change the whole sections on the website. So these are all important when you test and you take the feedback from the user. So you redefine all these design elements, and then that's when you have a very nice updated user experience website.
Meghry, that's great. And actually, I want to give a couple more examples of how powerful engaging with your users are. For those of us who are very driven by always understanding our communities, being there for them, recognizing their needs, and demonstrating to them that you understand them intimately and that you are putting a lot of effort to meet their needs and meet their requirements. They are used to you being serviable, being available, being helpful. So going to your communities is a great way to test your website and to ask them specific questions, to like what Meghry was suggesting. And by engaging them and asking them for their feedback, you are once again proving to them how much you value them and how much their opinion means to you. It's a great community relationship building opportunity, and one that doesn't cost budget, one that doesn't cost anything tangible, except, of course, for your very, very precious time and their precious time as well. Also, for your partners and your donors, they would love to hear that you are making upgrades. You are taking your website to a next level, and you are going to be doing that in phases. And having them on board with you would make that website so much more powerful, so much more relevant for them, meeting their governance needs, meeting their maybe due diligence needs, or whatever it is. So reaching out to your partners and funders is a great conversation starter. This website building becomes an opportunity for you to say, this is a new year. We're taking our presence and our work and our impact to the next level. Getting your feedback is very important for us. And we now have an opportunity to do more to also cater to your needs and interests as well. Donors and funders and partners and friends in the community are going to be happy to be engaged because they know they are being listened to. They know that this is a very professional, important effort. So never hesitate to just ask. Over to you, Meghry. I know that we have another big set of technical words, but I know that this time it is a lot less and
Yes.
it's even easier. And we just have a few more minutes left in this webinar before we draw our time together to a close. Meghry, what is UI?
So UI is the second component in design. It's user interface. So basically, it's the arrangement of elements like your brand colors, your images, your fonts, sizes. So just how you design them, and then how they look in the end, and how the user uses these elements to interact with your website or a product. So these are easier. These are things we actually know, but we didn't know that these are the terms for them. So basically, we have 5 components in UI. One of them is input controls. It literally means the things you use to do something, like buttons or fields you fill, or a form that you fill, or when there's a date picker, let's say. So all these are input controls. So the design of these input controls is the user interaction, user interface. So that's what makes it part of the interface, input controls. Then we have navigational components. Navigational components are components the user uses to navigate, like the menu. okay? Or pages or search bars. So I'm gonna just quickly show you. Yeah, here. So this is a navigation system, right? These are the buttons, the search bar, or let's say if there's a report and you have pages on them. So that's part of navigational components. So the design of these are part of the user interface. And then we have informational components. Informational components are icons. Like this is telling you that if you want to read this more, you have to click here. This is informational. Also, labels are informational elements. Labels include titles, subtitles, or section titles. These are all part of informational components. It also includes pop-ups. Whenever you have a specific pop-up, something that you click on, and then let's say you have a big form you have to fill, or let's say if you add a pop-up that says, hello, we have this specific event happening, please register if you would like to be part of it. So this is part of informational components, things that like alert the user so they can interact with your website. Then we have containers. So containers are things that like cards. Let me explain more. So this is here, you see, do you see this? Like there's a video here and text with it. So basically this one is one card. This is a second card. This is a third card, right? So also, it also includes sections. So there's a yellow line here. You can tell that this part is not related a lot, like it's not directly related to this part, right? Or same goes for here. So that was training seminar 4, this is 3, right? So a divider is also part of a container, okay? You can also have containers also could be something like this. So it contains, it's a slide, let's say, these are slides. Okay, so these are containers. And finally, we have the visual design. Again, the visual design, it is actually how it looks like. It has your brand colors. It has your brand typography. It has your, let's say, illustrations, your imagery, your, let's say, videos, the transitions that you have. Let's say this one is like sliding in from the bottom. This is part of your visual design. And it's also like part of the visual design, and also the transitions that happen. Sometimes you have websites that on scroll, you have a different page showing up, right? Or different, let's say, a section showing up. So that's part of also the interaction or the interface of your website. Okay, so this covers UI for us. Anything you'd like to add, Lynn?
No, Meghry, I think you've got this. What I'm curious about is how do we put all of this to the test? And I find very interesting is how many tools are out there. Many of them are for free. And it is actually very easy to know how well your website is doing. And the results teach you very quickly, work on this, work on this, work on this. It's just a quick minute or two. Let's go through that to close off our webinar for today. Go over to you, please.
So these are the 4 main metrics, or let's say, yes, the metrics you can use to test if all you did in SEO and UI and UX, if they're working or not. So this is like an overall testing of the whole process. So you have basically testing speed, responsiveness meaning mobile friendliness or iPad friendly. You have broken links. If there were let's say 5 years ago, you linked to a specific article on a specific news outlet, and then it's not there anymore. So you can't keep having broken links on your website. So you have to test for that. And plagiarism. So going back to speed, there are 2 tools. There are a lot, okay? And a lot of them could be paid a lot of this can be automated, but I'm trying to show you things you can do when you're just sitting behind your behind your laptop at home. Okay, so we have two. We will be sharing all these links on the chat right now. We use Google Page Insights and GT metrics. So Google Page Insights are developed, or the platform already belongs to Google. And then you have GT metrics. It's a third-party platform. I'm going to tell you a bit about these two. Usually, whenever you test your website on Google, it will give you lower scores than GT metrics. This is part of Google's marketing, okay? So this is their way of encouraging people to use their own tools to make your to make your website have a better performance, let's say. Okay, so don't be spooked. So it's good to test your performance on a couple of websites. I'm going to show you live examples. I have used actually the Nobel Prize website to check this for you. So this one is the Page Speed Insights website for you just put the link in the field and then you analyze it. You have mobile and desktop. Okay, so we can see that both they have passed in Core Web Vital core CWV. Okay, so basically I'm not going to go into these one by one, but I'm going to give you, this is where you need to look. This is like the most important part. This is about the whole overall performance of your website. Accessibility is how accessible your website is. Okay, the ones we talked about. Best practices, this includes the mental models or the things you have done. You have included a specific section on a specific page. This is part of it. And then you have the SEO. So these are the rankings. These are the performance scores of your website. So if you actually check, let's say if you want to go more into details in the performance, you can see the speed index. So this page that we just put took 8.2 seconds to open. And this is not good because it has to be even faster. Okay. However, I understand why, because if you really check their page, it has a lot of images on it. It's a bit heavy, right? So it means if they put less photos or if their photos are more optimized, then the speed index would be lower, thus their performance will be higher. You can see on their desktop, they've like the performance is better, it's higher. Okay, so this is part of it. Again, I'm going to show you the other platform you can use to test the page. You see here, the performance got 69. Here, the performance got 83. So they got a B grade. So on GT metrics, usually you rank the performance is better than on Google Insights. Again, you have examples here of everything. If there's a specific thing you don't understand, you just scroll over and then it explains for you. Let's say the structure of the page got 91%. These are more related to how big a specific image is on your website and how much time it took for that image to open. So this is for performance. It also tests your structure. And then when you click here, it also tells you which images are hindering, let's say, the speed process. So it's not hard. You just have to read and a bit of research and you got it. So these are for performance testing of speed. Okay, and it also tests for mobile friendliness. I'm going to show you quickly here. No, here, it actually tells you, where is this? Okay. Summary. Okay, I just missed it. I will get back to you. Okay. So there's a place that they tell you if it's mobile friendly or not. It's supposed to be here.
And Meghry, while you're taking a quick look, I know that some of us might need to leave at the 5 p.m. mark. We did start a bit earlier to account for everybody needing more time to dial in. We're just going to need less than 5 minutes to close. So Meghry, back
Yeah.
to you.
I'm gonna just skip this, but I will let Dima know how you can test for the move. It's somewhere here. I just can't see it right now. Okay.
It's been too much screen time for you, Meghry. But the good thing is that it's all there on the website, and it is a matter of just not being concerned about the big words and just looking really almost at the colors. Something was green, it's performing well. What is it? Oh, my site structure is looking very good. Something is red. Red, okay, we know that's not necessarily a very good thing. What's the problem there? Oh, my images are too big. Which images? I can click on that and I'll get the full list. This image is fine, this image is fine, this image is giving a problem, this image is giving a problem. So actually what these websites are doing is not just diagnosing for you your website, they're also making very clear, here are the solutions. It's just about following those instructions. So what you see is that you don't need to be a developer. You don't need to be a computer scientist. You just need to be someone who knows where this information is. And now that you realize why this information is so important, these tools are a really great use of your time. And we're about to post them. Meghry, let's go ahead and post all these on the chat. While we look at the final two, broken links, and Jessica was asking, what is plagiarism?
Yeah, so I'm going to quickly show you what broken links. We're going to share them right now. So broken links are the thing I explained. So it's whenever there's a link that's not actually linking and that's not taking you anywhere. So there's a website for that. You just put the website here, you do the security code, you check for the links, and here we can see that there are 4 links on this website. Okay, it checked 3,000 web pages and it found 4 broken links. So you can see what links are broken. So when you click on the URL, it will take you to the page and then you will know, okay, I need to fix these. So that's for broken links.
So Meghry, what you're saying is that we actually don't need to go on our websites and check every single link.
No.
Life is much simpler with these tools. And we are able to just go on this link, drop in our URL, and the tool takes care of that in a matter of seconds, when usually that exercise, Meghry, could take hours.
Yes. Yes. So I just shared with you the 4 or 5 websites that you can use to test your performance. The last one is just quickly. The last one is plagiarism. So it's not always plagiarism. Sometimes you have to copy paste from somewhere and then, paraphrase a bit. Sometimes you are obliged to use the same, let's say, paragraph on different pages on your website. So that's not really plagiarism because it's really your content. But when Google crawls and it checks, it says, no, this text exists twice on your website. So what you actually do is, there's again a website called Copyscape. You put your website here and then you check it. So here for Nobel Prize, you're going to see that there's a lot of plagiarized content, but then it's not really plagiarized because here you can see it's shared on Facebook. So whoever shared it, they use the text from their website. That's not plagiarism. They're just sharing. And then you have the same for LinkedIn. You have other websites, right? Sometimes it can actually show you your own website and different 2 pages. Again, that means that you pasted the same content on 2 pages. You have to always try not to do that. But if you're obliged to do that, it's fine, because at the end, they can know that it's just different. If it's just a different page on the same website. Okay, so that's it for performance testing.
So Meghry, to close, let's just do a final test. Could you show us one website that you like? And Could you tell us how that website is doing? So not the Nobel Prize website, though we're going to send this webinar to them so they can fix their website performance.
So
one more website to close off for today.
Okay, so I'm not gonna test one by one the website on all these tools because sometimes it's taking a bit of time, you know, Lebanon and internet and so forth. I'm gonna show you examples of good designed websites, or let's say sections. I'm gonna start, let's say, with the Ford organization. This is a website I really like, the way they design. So when you go to their page, you know, there's interaction, there's animation, you're not bored. It's very clear, you have a big text. It tells you to read this first and then know about them more. Okay, and then there's another section, how we work. Okay, because it's the organization's website, so it's logical to have about their organization first, right? And then you have their grants, their priorities. You see, it's like blocky. There's a grid. There's easy to see. It's a bit crowded, but this is part of their identity. And then what we also like about them is in the footer, you have your, let's say, contact form or submission form. This is very helpful because then people don't always have to go to contact us to fill a form. They can just scroll down and use their form to fill their information. Another example is, here's another example of infographics. You don't always have to have graphs and the numbers on a website. You can just have it as simple as that. Okay, they're highlighting what information, like telling people their impact and what they do, and then it's very pretty. It's pretty image based. Okay, and you have the play on their identity, right? These are a bit small for my taste, but they should be a bit bigger. However, it's a very well-designed website. You have the slider. This is a call to action area, right? You also have another example here, let's say interactive, having okay, when you scroll, things change. You have a text, a video on plays on scroll, ignore the ads, okay? And then you have a interactive map, right? Another example is, let's say this is consent is important, okay? Let's say here they're giving you a heads up. So see how like the interaction, how the way you're scrolling, it's moving. It's telling you this is a report. So again, there are tools you can do this, and there are tools you can do this, or you don't really have to have it this way, the interactive, but you can try your best to have a bit of animations, something moving over here, over there. So I hope you like the examples, and yeah.
And Meghry, it doesn't cost a developer and coding to create these websites anymore, right? So many website builders exist out there. ZP uses duda.com. We've just put that on the chat for you. We do a lot of our website building in-house, but Duda as well has templates that are easy to use. And we make and it's not just Duda. There is Squarespace, there is WordPress. There are so many. They've done the hard work of coding all of this. They've also done the hard work of optimizing all of this, yes, so that the interaction doesn't take space, doesn't affect your speed, is already optimized, and is responsive on a laptop, on a wider screen, on a mobile, on a tablet. It no longer costs money to build a great website. And all it is about is understanding what it takes, and then just doing it one page at a time, and take the time that you need. But release that one page, publish it. Don't wait until your 10 pages are done, because actually Google doesn't want you to do that. Those crawlers are thirsty for content. They want one page at a time. If it even has to take 1 year to release one full website, no problem. Do not feel time is working against you. In fact, the algorithm now says, we know it takes time, so we are going to reward the fact that you are growing your website. And take your time, but always be authentic. Always make your website, work for your website to achieve key needs. Talk with your users. Use this opportunity to start more intimate conversations and relationships with your communities, your funders, your partners. And to close off, you know where to find us when you have a question. It's impact@zovighianpartnership.com. We're always here to answer a question or two. Meghry, thanks a lot. That was technical, but it was manageable. So manageable technical. Thank you for this great two-part webinar series. It was great having you with us. Clearly, my team knows what they are talking about. I think I'm going to be bringing in more of our colleagues, Meghry. You set the bar high. And thanks to everyone for dialing in. Thanks for letting us take a few extra minutes of your precious time this Thursday afternoon. Thanks to our interpreters and the rest of the ZP team dialed in. Ya'tikum elf afiyeh. Have a great evening.